All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, InsaneLeader13, and I'm joined by former X3 XRL Series champion Shelby IX Spark today as we are preparing to go underway for our 22nd round of 25 races here at the Abu Dhabi circuit here in the Middle East. Shelby, you've been in this position before where with a handful of races left in the season, you were in a position to potentially lock up a title. You were able to do it. So giving you advice to your old teammate Schumacher SF7 out there, what is the strategy that he needs to take for today's race?
Well, there's going to be a lot of things going on. That chicane in the middle of the two straights is where everybody usually loses their wings and everything. So it'd just be important not to lose, not to get damaged. Just take it a little bit cautiously today. So in my opinion, that's what he should do.
So, a few things taking consideration off the bat. This race is going to be a nighttime race. However, due to it being, the Middle East, temperatures are still going to be unbearably high. Tire temperatures will be of extreme importance today. Another thing of importance, though, is how you're going to run the car. This circuit falls into the same category as a few others we've seen where of the three sectors, one is very, very high speed focused and one is very, very aerodynamic, and one, if not two of the others, are very aerodynamically focused. When you come here, after you make it around the first four corners, it's a straight run into a not quite hairpin. It's a little bit tighter than it's a little bit closer to the track than what it used to be, but not nearly as tight. You can carry a lot more speed around. Then you come onto the first of two long DRS straightaways. You open up the DRS going down the first of the two back straightaways, and then it's that chicane that you were talking about. Very important to consider because it's really easy to get some good switchbacks going on, but you need to give other people room and you need to not let the tires get out from under you. Then you get onto another long straightaway to another chicane. It's another straightaway that we saw back in 21. Lewis Hamilton, even on older tires with no DRS, was able to pull along the outside, actually get his nose briefly ahead of Max Verstappen on. It's very, very good opportunity to go side by side into what is no longer a Mickey Mouse bunch of 90-degree corners. It is now a long, sweeping, near hairpin once again. Not quite hairpin, but it's pretty close to one. But it's long, it's sweeping, it has a small amount of banking on it. You come out of that, and then it's a series of faster and faster, yet tighter and tighter corners until you stop at a hard 90-degree corner, a series of brief 90-degree corners as you go underneath the hotel section. They reprofiled the last two corners, so the last two corners are not nearly as tight as they used to be. They're a little bit wider. You have a little bit tighter lines you can take in, a little bit wider lines coming out, and then you swing out of the last corner onto a front straightaway and cross the line. Laps here are what, a minute and 40 seconds, I believe, in overall lap times? I think it's a minute and 40 seconds.
I think that's old. I think it's more like 120 now. That was the old circuit, but I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but at least on this game, I really liked the old format of this track. In my opinion, in just this game, I know in real life it didn't make anything better, but just in this game, it just felt like it kept the racing a little bit closer. So I don't know. Still be an interesting race for a lot of these drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were running this track in the last game, we were still on the older janky chicane layout. There was not the long, smooth sweeping corners. Yeah, EA didn't update it, and I did Codemaster, which is kind of a shame. I would have liked to have seen the updated version, but it was not meant to be. But yeah, I really, really strongly prefer this. And this is going to be controversial in general. I also did not really have too much of a problem with the old Yas Marina layout. The thing is, when I say I didn't have too much of a problem with it, a lot of people were acting like it was a 2 out of 10 racetrack. And I'd say it's like it was a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10. It wasn't bad. I thought it did a great job showcasing the strengths and the weaknesses of the cars. And this section here that I'm seeing Paige and Dr. Phil go through, these faster and faster corners, one of my favorite parts. And that is a Haas that's gone around.
Yeah,
that's Dragonborn.
The Williams got in the way when he was going out of the pits. And then Bourne just got out of shape. Yeah, but talking about on another note, Gillionator is the only one. Actually, no, there is some on hards.
Gillionator?
Actually, 2 people on hards.
You mean Gallminator?
I can't see. Okay, sorry, Gallminator.
You have cataracts?
Maybe. Oh, and he's around. Oh, he is lucky to not have. He's
Yeah,
lucky
and
not
that's
to
one
have,
thing.
you know,
That's one
taken
thing
his
that's
wheel
been the
off.
same. That's one thing that's the same from the last version of this track's layout to this one. Going through that high-speed bend, turn 2, 3, 4 complex, it's very, very easy for the rear end to get out from under you and just send you sideways. It was not an XRL. It was for the Apex series I do broadcasting for. They're normally a Forza Focus series. But they did a short league on this game on Sunday nights. I'm American, so Sunday nights for me is more like early-ass Monday mornings for the Brits. But when they ran here, every single driver in that 10-car grid had an accident in those corners. So yeah, it's very, very destructive, very, very problematic section there. And the worst part is, you have no wing for the entire lap afterwards. It eats up a bunch of time.
And even there, in last game, I did spin there on the second lap of the game, or a second lap of the race, and what happened was Stone Shuffle went into me and kind of killed his race. He actually DNF'd. But it's a very challenging corner, especially with overheated tires and worn tires. So that's going to be someplace that we're going to have to look out for, and especially the drivers, because you get a little bit loose there and you might go around. So.
Mm-hmm. Just watching. This is going to be really interesting because I'm getting word that we're still expecting one more driver, that would be Fratters, to potentially join. So we could be seeing a full 20 cars going at. As it stands right now, though, 19 drivers. Zackle and E-Diggity are both serving qualifying bans. E-Diggity serving the qualifying ban due to the accident that happened last week in the final few laps of that race at Brazil. E-Diggity actually messaged me post, and I did not see it because my Xbox settings means that I don't see people who aren't listed as my friends, so I did not see it until about Thursday. But he sent a message, and he's all like, "Why are you putting me on blast in the broad? Why are you putting me on the blast in the broadcast? I would never intentionally wreck somebody." I'm gonna go ahead and say this publicly because I went ahead and made the call last week. Whether it was accurate or not, I'm here. I can only see what I see right now. What I saw was definitely very suspicious. Considering the circumstances, it seemed very reasonable to call out what appeared to be the worst case scenario. I could be wrong, but I'm not calling it out to try and target any one person in particular. It is more that when I see something that seems like absolute bullcrap going on, I'm going to go ahead and call it out. So at this point in the event, I want to go ahead and ride silently on board for a lap with someone that's had a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses throughout the season. Herbago91 missed a bunch of races earlier in the season, but then went on a tear in the mid-season, got really, really close to Schumacher, and then went through about an entire month where he earned not a single point. He's recovered, he's starting to earn points back, and although the Drivers' Championship is out of contention, Manufacturers is still in it, so we're going to ride on board silently for a lap with Herbago91 and the McLaren here around Yas Marina and see what a flying lap is like with that McLaren. So the McLaren's really putting a hard knock on the rest of the field right off the bat. They are 1-2 on the timesheets right now. Meerkat, forget the 25s, he's in the 24s, and Herbago set a time that's in the high 26s on medium tires. McLaren's rumor is that they're going to be running the extremely low wing setup again, the setup that they have favored for the majority of the season. So with that in mind, Chubby, do you think there's any way to get ahead of the McLarens when they have so much straight line speed with their low wings that they can outrun somebody with DRS and ERS on them?
Yeah, well, as I saw, their top speed, they got up to about 200 at their max, 200 miles an hour. So, I mean, it's going to be tough, but the way you can get him is maybe going through this last sector. Because he did look like he was struggling a little bit going around these corners a little bit in the last sector. So that might be your way of getting right on his tail, and then just maybe, if he makes a mistake there, get down the inside of him. I mean, it'll be tough, but you're going to have to dump a lot of ERS. Plus, you're going to have to have no mistakes on that lap. So it'll be tough, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good situation for the McLarens, especially if they qualify well.
So Zola right now, also in the middle of his lap. Zola is not in contention for manufacturers championship. He's been
third.
Yeah, 126.07 seconds. Snake up to a second, 125.402. Snake, a veteran of the X3 series, missed out on a championship a few seasons back. It's been rough going for him, but he seems to bring home at least one win each year. He just really has trouble finishing races at the same rate that he performs in qualifying. He has really, really solidified his qualifying pace amazingly well. But Snake's ability to convert that into, actual race line performances has been a little bit iffy. We've seen him do it before, but I would love to see Snake go out there and start legitimately contending for a championship in X3 again. We know he can do it before. I'd love to see him be able to do it again. It's just obviously not going to happen this season. Paging Dr. Phil is on the hard tires, or he was on the hard tires for his fastest lap. He's going back out now because he realized those hard tires are not going to be enough. There's an Aston Martin that has gone around in Sector 3. That is Sweister. Sweister, I have no idea what's gone on there because I don't see any damage to his car. Also, Dr. Phil got a big toe off of his teammate Zola going down the first of the two back straightaways as well. So he might be in a position to up his time a bit. Right now, we're looking at 17 drivers fighting for 15 positions. So it is a fight at the bottom of this sheet to get into Q2. Oh, Dr. Phil, 25.6 now. Schumacher now out on track on an outlap. Drivers' Championship not officially locked up yet. He was not able to take home any points outside of pole and fastest lap last week. So he still needs to take home, at minimum, 3 points today. Now, he can do that by taking home pole, fastest lap, and 10th place. He could finish 9th and get either pole or fastest lap, or he could come home 8th. 8th would give you 4 points, and he would automatically do it. So if he can finish 8th today, he will lock up the title by default. The other thing that will give him an automatic title advantage, though, is if Zola does not win today's race, then Schumacher also automatically wins this championship by default. So, it's not officially locked up, but realistically, as long as nothing crazy happens, he has it done today.
And also, just looking around the drivers who were on a fast lap, and me spectating the McLarens, you said they were on a low setup. It looks like a lot of the other people are going a little bit faster than them on a straight, at least a 4 mile per hour difference. So. I mean, when I was watching, I think it was Herbago, he was going 200, but I was just spectating Switzer, or however you say his name. He went 205 on that the same straight, so it could be interesting what maybe they weren't using ERS, or I don't know, but it does look like they might have a little bit of a higher downforce setup than we actually expected.
It'd be very interesting. Now, a higher downforce setup does mean that the car is going to be less likely to go for a spinny winny there in turns 2, 3, 4. When I followed Dragonborn briefly when he did his proper flying lap at the end of the first of the 2-back straightaways, he got to 211 in a straight line. Dragonborn's basically been... Oh, and Veli's crashed out! Veli! No, that's not Veli. Veli's just retired in the pits, I think, actually.
Oh. Nice one. Always gets confusing with people retiring in the pits and crashing out.
Well, Veli's teammate Imperium is out on track in the middle of a lap right now, as is Schumacher. Schumacher's actually finishing up his circuit now.
And he is on the hard tires.
Interesting thing to consider. 3 drivers on interesting tire strats right now. Herbago set his fastest lap on mediums. Zola, who's now retired in the pits, he set his fastest lap on the hards.
What a
Schumacher.
lap. Oh.
Wow, Schumacher has just gone 4th fastest in the 25s on hards. Herbago did it on mediums, and then Swister, he has gone his fastest lap was set after 4 straight laps on a set of softs. And then BTEC 11 and Mercedes AMG, they're closer to the bottom of the grid, but they set their best lap thus far on 3-lap-old tires. So several drivers are really squeezing a lot of performance out of the softs today.
And let's see what his top speed gets to on the straight.
Well, if Schumacher's on a cooldown lap, we're not really going to have any idea. Oh, BTEC.
BTEC got up to 202, so it does maybe look like the McLarens might be using a little bit more of a high downforce setup.
Which would be an interesting change compared to their normal form. Now, I should go ahead and say that I can only see so much. I'm in the series server. I get to talk with some of the drivers privately. For their McLarens, we know that they've had top speed advantage for the majority of the season, and everyone just kind of has assumed that's been the case. While as opposed to the Ferrari drivers, particularly Schumacher but Flavor as well, have relied more on a downforce-focused setup. They're usually a little slower in a straight line, but way faster around the rest of the circuit. This would be an interesting inversion. Now, we saw Coda in the extreme rain. Herbago brought home a 3rd-place finish with almost no wings, but Meerkat, who won that race, had a proper high downforce setup there.
And BTEC goes 4th.
Yeah, so the Haas, 125.761. So at the moment, this is what it looks like. Swister has retired, but he is on the bubble with a 26.432. Golminator on an outlap, he needs to find about 0.6 of a second at the moment, and Imperium
is
in the middle of a lap.
Yeah, and he has Imperium, no ERS, but he's 2 seconds down.
Yeah,
I don't think he's. I think he might try to go back into the pits. I'm not sure, but if I was him,
we only have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd just try to go, get a lap and cool down. I mean, he has probably 20 seconds to the line. If I'm him, I'd just go on another lap and just take it a little bit slow, try to charge up my ERS.
Actually, and I just realized I was wrong. Swister did not retire. Swister actually crashed out. So Swister's crashed out. Yeah, Swister crashed out.
Imperium
so if Golminator...
Yeah,
Golminator's fight is not with Swister. Golminator's fight is actually with Mercedes AMG, and that difference in time is only by about 1/10 of a second. So if Golminator can overtake Mercedes, neither of the Aston Martins will advance to the next round of qualifying. And mind you, Mercedes is out on track trying to go faster, but right now in the first sector alone, he is 0.007 of a second down. There's a possibility that Mercedes might not be able to advance. Oh, he's up by 0.3. He's trying to open the gap between himself and Golminator. Golminator's up by over 1/10 in Sector 1.
Let's see how he gets pretty decent exit off that hairpin corner. Let's see his straight line speed here.
Mercedes AMG, if he goes fast enough and Golminator also goes fast enough, that will be Veli who gets knocked out of qualifying.
206. Oh, locked up a tiny bit going in there.
Out of the final corner comes Mercedes AMG, and he will set a 26.372. That puts him up to 10th. So Golminator now has to beat Veli 126.572.
He is he's 1/10 up over 1/10. Yeah, so it's all gonna have to come from the last sector.
Yeah, he didn't gain anything in Sector 2. So he needs to put down a monster Sector 3 if he wants to advance.
Gallman It's looking good for now. Oh, locked up in the last corner a little bit. Let's see if how much that's going to affect them.
He lost time. He did improve.
10th.
That ain't going to be enough. He was up by about a tenth and a half and lost about half of a tenth in Sector 3, so he will not advance.
He needed about 4 more tenths to, I think, get in there, so.
Yeah. So the 4 drivers that will not advance will be Gallminator, Imperium SG. They do not advance because they are not able to put down fast enough times. Zackel has qualifying ban, so does E Diggity.
And at the moment, Mercedes is the only one on track, but he's going into this lap, or he's just going to cross the line. Great final lap for him there. So, I think that saved him from getting knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And while Sweester also will not advance because he crashed out. So 14 drivers will be fighting for 10 spots here in our second round of qualifying. All right, and coming to the party now is Sweester 1987. Sweester, go ahead and include your audio. Can you hear us? It may be a possibility that Sweester might not have a working mic.
Looking at the qualifying one rundown, Magic Meerkat was first with a 124.768. Snake second, 6/10, just adrift. Dr. Filled about 8.5 tenths adrift. And then just looking down, there's a couple people that qualified pretty highly with hards and mediums, so that'll be interesting. They didn't waste any sauce this qualifying session, so that could be good for them later in quali.
Sweester, can you hear us? All right, sweet. Go ahead, make sure your audio is included. A retirement early on in Q1, and that keeps you from advancing to the next round. What happened out there took you out? All right, rough circumstances for sure. Looks like you're going to be starting 15th in what may be a full or nearly full field today. Do you think you have a car and a strategy that can get you to finish in the points today, though? All right, we'd love to see you be able to properly do that. Kind of disappointing what happened to you last week at Brazil. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. It's a shame to see it happen like that. Go get him in the race, mate. All right, so right off the bat in the pits, it says that Schumacher still has hard tires equipped right now. I'll be curious to see if he actually commits to sticking with that or not. First driver on track again is Dragonborn.
And what's interesting, I just looked, with no ERS enabled, he got up to 202 miles an hour. And right here even, he got to 203 without using any ERS, so he is, very low downforce, Dragonborn. So, he'll probably struggle in this last sector, but if he can just gain all his time on the other, straights, then I think he'll be fine. He'll also be hard to overtake. So, that's probably looking good for him.
Yeah, he'll be in a great position to make overtakes in the race as well. If he doesn't have a great qualifying run, like last week at Brazil, he didn't have a really good day at all. Dragonborn, who is one of the drivers fighting. He's fighting with a lot of drivers for 5th in the Drivers' Championship, and we'll look at the points in between Q3 and the race start. But he's one of the drivers in that fight for 5th overall in driver points. Really hurt him because he brought home no points last week. He tried to finish the race on soft tires. He was not the only one. There were a few others who tried that. But it did not work out for him because while there was no more rain falling at Brazil last week by the end of the race, the track was still soaked. So the soft tires did not give him any grip. He actually was losing about 3/4 to a second and a half a lap per lap in the final 3-lap sprint. So yeah, he would love to be able to counter that and try to vault himself back into 5th in the drivers. We don't know how likely it's going to be that that's actually going to happen right now, though.
Yeah, and he got up to 214 at the end of that straight. So
yeah, that's with ERS and DRS. And his teammate, BJ Glebin, has just had a crash. So both of the Haas's have had incidents there in that turn 1, 2, 3, 4 sector.
Has he lost his wing?
No, Glebin's wing is still there. I think he should be able to continue without too much of an issue.
Just tires overheated.
Yeah. But the good news, the good-ish news at least, is that because Sector 2, 3, 4 happened so early in the lap, if you're worried about tires overheating, well, you won't have to worry too much because it will turn back down. Dragonborn now in the 24s. And we're going to see, here comes the McLaren of, I believe, Mantic Meerkat to the line. I imagine Meerkat has the ability to go back to the top of the sheets here.
And Schumacher is back out on those hards again, so looks like he's going to try to...
124.6 for Meerkat.
He's trying to make it through on hards, or at least just set a good lap on it. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Don't know what happened with Dr. Phil. He was running exceptionally slow at the end of Sector 3. He's underway now, but he was right in the middle of a bunch of cars, and Mercedes AMG has crashed out! Both of the Mercedes have crashed out in qualifying! Mercedes AMG has crashed out in Turn 2, and he will not advance to the next round of qualifying at all.
That is tough for him. Yeah, that is not good for those Astons, so we'll see how they recover in the race.
Yeah, Aston Martins will be starting 14th and 15th together now, right next to each other, so they're going to have to get onto alternate strategy, I guess, so they're not hogging pits against each other. BTEC Glebin, with that spin, he was only able to set a 144.566. Of note, Herbago is in the middle of the lap right now, as is Dr. Phil.
Placing lap by Glebin there.
Here comes a bunch of drivers coming to the line now to get their laps in. Dr. Phil, 26.4.
I think that's a little bit down than his Q1, I thought.
Yeah, it is. And now Herbago jumps up to third, 24.868. So to me, at least, I think if you want to advance, Collie Boy retires in the pits. He says, I'm happy with the 25.4. No need to go farther. No need to waste more tires. And Schumacher aborted in the middle of his flyer. So Schumacher has not set a time yet. He aborted in the middle of his flyer.
And Zola is about to go on a lap with the hard tires. So he is doing something similar that Schumacher did in Q1.
A.K. Herbie, also in the middle of the lap right now. Herbie has had a handful of decent runs, and he's trying to set a lap right now on the medium tire compound. Big slide out of the final corner for Herbie. This is not a great lap for him. 26.150. Now, it's on mediums, so he could obviously get a lot more time if he goes back out on softs. But for right now, this very strongly suggests that for Herbie, it's just going to be a matter of either finding extra time, finding extra grip, or going ahead and jumping into a different set of tires. I don't know if you're going to be able to advance into Q3 with a time in the 26s. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying I don't know if it's going to happen. Jalebin has put together a proper lap now, though, but he is still the slowest of everyone who has set a lap thus far, 26.905. That puts him 10th overall. Meerkat and Call Boy have both retired in the pits, so they both have no reason to come back out into the circuit. Zola, waiting to see what his lap is, but this is not going to be a great fast lap for him. He invalidated. Yeah, not only did he invalidate, he was also way off time.
Either.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Maybe he was just trying to scuff the sets of hards. I've talked about this before. You go out there with a set of tires that have already had a lap or two on them, they'll get back up to temperature a little bit faster. So Zola, if he's going to try and do a medium to hard tire strat, the hard tires, although they'll have a little bit more wear on them, they will get up to temperature a little bit faster. So that could be what Zola is going for. Schumacher back out on track, and he is not on the hards, but he is on the mediums.
Yeah.
Snake also on track right now, trying to get a lap in. What is Snake's top speed going down the back straightaway? He's got ERS and DRS on the use. 202. And that car did not seem to be accelerating very fast. All Formula 1 cars in general have a fantastic 0 to 150 mile an hour speed. But then once they get to about 150, 160 miles an hour, their acceleration just kind of bogs down because all that aerodynamic drag from the wings just really, really piles up. It's not just the wings, the tires also cause a lot of aero drag as well. But yeah.
It does look like he's using a high downforce setup in a way. Similar to what the McLarens are running.
Yeah, it seems like the McLarens are running a high downforce setup. I think Snake's running a high downforce setup. I got to talk with Schumacher. He confirmed to me privately that, yes, he is definitely running a high downforce setup. But Schumacher's not fine for a raceway today. Schumacher is just trying to bring home enough points to lock up the title by default.
Talked about Schumacher. He is just started his lap. Coming through the first sector now.
Yeah. I think Dragonborn is the wild card. He seems to be the highest top speed of everyone we've seen thus far. And his lap times haven't suffered badly from it.
B-Tech, I might have gone in his way at the hairpin.
Zola now coming back out onto the track for another attempt at a circuit. Right now, Jalebin is on the outside looking in with Veli on the bubble. Now, the good news for Veli is that he has a few extra sets of tires. He only really did a single lap in Q1. .8 for Schumacher at the end of Sector 2. Now through Sector 3. God, I love the Ferrari. Just the way that this generation of Ferrari looks is just so. It's the kind of car that I would want to marry and start a criminal empire with.
Okay, insane.
Oh, and he invalidates in the last corner.
25-2.
Well, the good news is,
fifth, I think.
Well, the good news for Schumacher is that he's on medium tires. So, as long as he doesn't burn up all his fuel, he could definitely go again. The tires aren't going to fall off. The problem for Schumacher, look at that clock. There's less than 4.5 minutes left. There's a possibility that if Schumacher ducks into the pits, he may not get another shot at this. And imagine that if Schumacher, your championship leader, does not make it out of Q2. Now, I'm not saying that will happen, but that is a possibility. Now, that does end up helping Jalebin, as Jalebin got a good draft off of the Ferrari going down the back stretch. Zola also still has yet to get his lap in. What is Zola's time going to be? Sector 1 is good for him. So it looks like it's going to be Veli, Jalebin, Schumacher, Zola, and Dr. Phil all fighting with each other. Dr. Phil comes to the line, and he's down by almost half a second. So for Dr. Phil, it does not look like he can squeeze any more single lap pace out of that car.
And Jalebin coming into the end of his lap. Looks like a good lap from what I saw so far. Coming to the final corner. Pretty good. And he sets a
25.793, so that puts him up to 6. Dr. Phil is now the driver on the bubble. And for Schumacher, he's aborting. And with just a bit more than 3 minutes left, Schumacher might not get a lap in. And our championship leader may not advance out of Q2. Zola goes to 5th now, 25.5, and he did that on the medium tire, so he put down the lap that Schumacher wanted to put down. The fight is for 10th.
And
Belly is out, Dr. Phil is out.
At the end of Sector 2.
Alright, so if Phil can keep this together, it's Sector 3. He will get back in and squeeze Herbie out. I believe Herbie's already reacted. Mind you, Herbie set his time on medium tires, so we know that he can go faster on softs. But there's not a lot of time left. He cannot afford to make any mistakes. Now the final corner for Phil. Fourth, 125.158.
1.25 seconds up. So great lap for him.
So now the drivers that are in a problem area is Dave and Flavor. Schumacher already coming back onto the circuit. Dave and Flavor, if they want to get on track, they need to do it sooner rather than later. And yes, Flavor is coming out now.
A little bit late for these guys behind Schumacher. They might not get to the line, depending if they push or not.
Yeah, it takes you about 1 minute and 30 seconds to get around here. Now, one thing that will help, though, is that the pit lane goes underneath turn 1, so you do make a little bit of time up through there. Yep. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit tight. We're going to have a lot of drivers kind of running and sprinting to the line all at the same time. The good news for Schumacher is that although there is a Red Bull ahead of him, that Red Bull should not be in his way.
Yeah, I think he's coming in this lap.
And like I said, 26s are not going to get you in. Herbie coming to the line. This could be a wild card here. As he's beginning his lap now. Need to be a time of 25.9, but Flavor, Dave, Herbie, and Veli all shooting for fastest lap right now. And Herbie, I think, is the real wild card here. He could be a big, heavy hitter if he doesn't make a mistake.
At the moment.
Oh, and Dave has not come out either, so it looks like it's going to be Herbie versus Dave and Flavor. And then obviously Schumacher also is going to have a massive effect on how this plays out as well.
Even if he just puts in a decent lap, probably get in. Decent lap for him at least.
What type of tire is Schumacher on also? Because that also could have... Yeah, alright, then Schumacher has no reason to not get up into at least the low 25s, I imagine, considering the pace he had on the mediums. How much time has Herbie gained in the first 2 sectors? Oh, over 3/4! Time's up in the session. Snake is out on track as well, but I think he's really not in a condition where he needs to worry about getting squeezed out.
I think Jalebin might be the one in the the hot seat here. Because Flavor only has to improve by about a 10th, and as you said, Herbie's already 3/10 up.
24.9! My goodness! Flavor's up by a 10th in Sector 1 alone. What about in Sector 2? He's lost a lot of it. Oh, wow, Flavor has lost a lot of time. Could Flavor get squeezed out of Q3 by his teammate?
Just don't make any mistakes. Through here, Schumacher.
Out of the final corner.
Very cautious.
Schumacher, yeah, he compromised his final corner because he didn't want to invalidate there like he did earlier. Schumacher is in. Flavor is out. Can he squeeze in at the last moment? I don't think so.
He might have got it. He might have got it. He is.
Yes, he is. And this is a situation we see Flavor put himself in time and time again, and almost every time he sneaks into Q3. He is fantastic at performing in Q2. And here's the wild card, though.
Wow.
Wow. But he's in, and the Haas of BTEC 11 is out. And here's the other thing to watch. Zola has not set a lap yet on the soft tires. Zola could be the real wild card when it comes to qualifying here. I think we know the 5 men who are going to be fighting for pole. It will be the 2 McLarens, it will be the Haas of Dragonborn, the Ferrari of Schumacher, and then the Red Bull of Zola. Although I say that, maybe don't ignore Herbie. A.K.A. Herbie might be able to put together something strong here as well.
Don't underrate him at all. He came out of nowhere with that lap, too. We didn't expect that from him, so. It could be. In your opinion at the moment, who do you think will take pole?
Well, I would like to say it's going to probably be Meerkat. And honestly, if I absolutely had to put money down, that's who I would probably put it down on. But Schumacher has been on a string of winning poles. He has won pole for almost all of the last 4 races. He's really locked up those bonus points there. He's really good at performing at the very end of Q3. So, although I think it's going to be the McLaren of Meerkat or maybe Herbago, do not ignore Schumacher. He could definitely squeeze something out here. Also, Dragonborn, now you're not allowed to get a draft off of another car, like actually go out of your way to do it. But if Dragonborn times his stuff right, he could end up getting a draft off of someone else and making his top speed on the straights even more top and get that extra little bit of speed. Now, I don't know if he's going to be going out of his way to do that, but I do think the main fighters for pole position is going to be Meerkat and Schumacher today.
Well, yeah, I have to agree with you there because those are the 2 heavyweights. But I don't think we've seen Herbago's true pace right now. Because it's a little bit uncharacteristic for him not to be, at least topping one session. So I think he might be a little bit of a dark horse for pole here too. So watch out for him.
First man out on track. Like in the last sessions, it is Dragonborn. Born set a single lap in the prior session and didn't bother trying to go faster. Now, typically the track gets a little bit quicker as it gets better rubbered in near the end of the session. So I do think Dragonborn also might have a little bit more speed that he's not shown us yet. Yeah, this could be an interesting shootout for pole position. There is at least 5 drivers in this group of 10 who I think could legitimately take pole. I don't know how hard Schumacher is going to push for it, though, because Schumacher, if he just comes home 8th, he locks up the Drivers' Championship. And that's on the assumption that Zola wins today. If Zola doesn't win, I mean, Schumacher has this title pretty much locked up by default.
Yeah,
so.
Zola would pretty much have to drive a perfect race to get this win today, because it looks like there's so many other drivers that look faster than him right now, but you never want to count out Zola, so.
The other thing I consider about Zola is that his laps in Q2 and Q3 were both set on harder compound tires. We've not seen what Zola's true pace is on the softs. He has a lot of pace that we've simply not seen because he's not had the proper tires on.
Very good lap from Dragonborn so far. Ooh. Just his session where he struggles a little bit through here. But he looks pretty good. We'll see his time in a second. And he's going to start the session with a 124.591. Pretty good lap.
That's what the track, not fully rubbered in yet. Snake's coming to the line at the moment. He'll be a second driver set a time. What can the veteran of the X3 Series set? It will be a 125.136. Then comes Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, he has speed, but I don't know if he has enough speed to properly fight for pole position. It's going to be a 25.7. That's really not the time you wanted to see. Schumacher to the line now. 25.040.
Meerkat.
And now Meerkat to the top, 24.181. I don't think anyone's going to be able to match that.
Herbago starting on a lap at the moment.
Herbie coming across the line. The only driver still in pit lane right now is Collie Boy.
Is pitting.
Yeah, Herbie aboard his lap position. So that
coming
means
to the line.
he'll probably set 25 here, I imagine. 25.211.
Great.
That's good enough for
really
fifth at the moment.
From Flavor there.
Herbago's got a toe off of his teammate Meerkat going down the first of the 2 back straightaways. This could be great for him.
What's his top speed going to get to? 202 with it.
204, 205.
With the draft, so. I mean, we probably got at minus a mile hour or two, but this could be they are using very high downforce setups, it looks like.
Yeah, but now he's got a draft, so that will negate the section of the circuit the
But
McLarens
this
have been
is
weak at.
yeah. But this
Herbago might try to lock
Zola
out the
going up to
Zola!
second.
24.3!
Yeah. But we got to see what Herbago. This is their strong suit at the moment. This last sector.
Again, Manufacturers Championship in play for the McLarens. If they could come home and dominate this race in the top two positions all day, this would vault them into a massive lead. 24.5 is just not enough.
Yeah, just doesn't look
Meerkat
like
seems
the
to be
high
the
force
faster
down
of the
setup.
two.
Yeah, just doesn't look
I mean,
like
it's
the high
worked for
downforce
Meerkat.
setup is. Yeah, but just doesn't look like Herbago is exactly just very good at it in qualifying. Could be a different story in the race, but. And
Kirby is
Zola
on another outlap.
Still on a lap, I think. No, he's on an lap.
So 4 drivers in the 24s, and Schumacher's lap is not super competitive to the top 4 right now. So it's a Haas, a Red Bull, and 2 McLarens fighting for a top spot. And I really don't think we're going to see anyone beat that time that Meerkat set. I think a 24.181 is insurmountable.
Yeah, I would love to see what Meerkat has to do on the second quali lap, but I think with that kind of time, he could get into the 23s pretty easily. So,
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what kind of lap time all the top 5 will set when they finish their second quali lap. But at the moment, Herbie is the closest to start his lap at the moment. Coolie Boy just came out. He's in second sector now, but here we go. Herbie on a lap right now.
Middle part of Q3, not a whole lot of crazy action on the circuit, just 2 cars, one flying and one in an outlap.
Oh!
Oh, and Herbie's around and hard into the inside wall!
That's a similar thing that happened earlier where they just lost their front wing. Very lucky for him that he does not break a wheel off there. I had a feeling that we'd also have one because we went too long without one in quality 2, so definitely we're gonna have one. But also that's gonna destroy the set of tires too, and it's gonna take him a while to get back to the pits.
Yeah, he will have enough time to get all the way back around, pit, repair, and come back out, but Herbie now is only going to have one real shot at putting a lap down. Whew. So the focus now goes to Collie Boy and also Dragonborn, who has gone out on track already. So Dragonborn will have a pretty clear circuit ahead of him when he starts his flyer. The other Mercedes, Snake, is now coming out onto the track, as is one of the McLarens. Is that Meerkat coming out? Yes, it is. It is
Boy
Meerkat.
taking out a bollard on his lap.
Boy, when it comes to high downforce setups, I think Collie Boy is also one of those on a very high downforce setup. Only 202 miles an hour going down the first of the 2 back straightaways there.
At the moment, Snake and Coolie Boy are both. Oh, never mind. Snake is on a lap at the moment. Did not. Or never mind.
Snake's just come out of lap. Yeah, he saw
Okay,
an outlap.
it
The
just
game does hiccups like that. Yeah, it's annoying.
I was like, what? He's setting a 3-minute 20. Like,
Yeah, it's Collie Boy and Dragonborn. Collie Boy and Dragonborn are the 2 drivers who are on outlaps right now. Meerkat is in the middle of an outlap. Sorry, Collie Boy and Dragonborn are on flying laps. Meerkat's on outlap about to start. Here comes Collie Boy at the line, 25.580. That's good enough for 8th at the moment. I'm curious to see if Dragonborn can find any more time.
He was a tenth down in the first sector, so I guess we'll just have to see what he gets to. About a quarter of a second down here.
So this is not
We'll
looking
see
good
if
for Dragonborn.
he he did mess up a little bit on here on his first lap, so
And the
let's see if he can gain a
McLarens.
little bit of time here.
The McLarens have timed it again. Herbago is out on track behind his teammate Meerkat. I don't think they timed that as well as they wanted. Meerkat actually backed out to let Herbago by.
Dragonborn coming into the pit here.
I think the McLarens screwed up. I think the McLarens are trying to time it to where one would get a draft off the other, but I think they screwed it up here.
Yeah.
Unless they want Herbago to go out there. Yeah, unless the plan is to get Herbago out there so he can drag Meerkat and get Meerkat into the 23s. But I really don't think anyone has the speed to match Meerkat's ability. Maybe Zola, but Zola was on a relatively decent, clean piece of track when he set his lap. I don't think anyone's topping Meerkat's time.
Flavor might be a little bit close to not getting the flag. He came out a little bit late. He's only just past the hairpin now. So he might have to...
Yeah, three drivers will not go. Dragonborn retires in the pit, so he knows he can't go any faster. Snake and Collie Boy both on pit road. We know they're not going to be able to go any faster. Although Collie Boy is coming down pit lane now, but he's... No, never mind. I've read that wrong. He just came into the pits. Never mind. Saw that wrong. All right, so here comes... Yeah, Herbago starting his lap.
With Herbie in between them.
Herbago has completely clean track ahead. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, this would be great for... Oh, wow. I definitely think that Herbago has something interesting on that setup because that car looked really light coming over that bump in turn 2.
And 1/10 up. Let's see, I think... See what they changed.
Another thing to consider is that while Zola thinks that he is out of the championship fight for the title, it is a fight between the two McLarens and Zola for second overall in the Drivers' Championship. So that is something else to consider.
And
1, 2, 3 on the track is 2, 3, 4.
Looks like he had a moment there. Did that interfere with Schumacher's lap?
It may have. Herbago is up by 2/10 right now. That sort of improvement means that he might, if he keeps gaining time, he might find something to get him onto the front row. Dr. Phil is in the middle of the lap also right now, coming out of the final corner. Is he going to go any faster? Only up to 5th, 24.9.
Oh, Herbago invalidates. Oh, and he spins.
Yeah, Herbago chokes, and Meerkat has choked as well. But I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think Zola has the speed enough to get a fast lap in. Zola is down in Sector 2.
Schumacher is about 4/10 up here. Let's see. Only
up to 5th.
Lost about a 10th probably in that last sector, but improved this time a little bit. Zola.
For Zola,
Oh, just
not enough.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, 19 thousandths off. That's it.
That was 18,000. Whatever this game thinks its math is.
Yeah. And in the end, McLaren starting 1-3. So for their fight for the Manufacturers' Championship, they're only a handful of points out from it right now compared to the Ferraris. And right now it looks like they are going to take the fight directly to them. They seem to, by far, be the fastest team on track again.
And it looks like the top 5 or the top 7 are within a second of each other, which is good.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry for counting out Zola. He did have the pace, and yeah, he's looking very, very good for the race here. Not to mention, if any late race safety cars, he has a lot of new softs that he can use untouched.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so real quickly, apparently they're going to be doing a full lobby reset. So I'm going to hold off on talking about the title fight and stuff until after we get into the new lobby. Yeah, right now we're just holding on, waiting until we get the new lobby set up for this event. Yes, there is a lobby restart. I'm waiting on invite right now.
Okay. Me and Fratters are like the only people in this lobby at the moment. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, 1 second. If I can, once I'm in the lobby, I will go ahead and I will. Once I'm in the lobby, I'll go ahead and I'll send you an invite. So.
I think I might have just got in it. I turned off somebody else.
Dun 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 dun. One thing I consider though is with the lobby reset, everything when it comes to tires and stuff is
Reset
now
totally.
negated. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone now has full sets of tires that they can utilize.
And
All right, I sent you an invite now.
something
All
interesting
right.
with this game compared to last game is last game you had to start on the tires you had Q2 with, and that isn't much of a controversy anymore with this game, so you can just start on any but.
What I would like to see, and I've talked about this a few times, what I'd like to see is that in Q1 you're required to run hard tires, in Q2 you're required to run medium tires, and Q3 you're required to run soft tires. I think that would make things very interesting.
Mhm.
Now, granted, that would also take away a lot of the strategy, but I think it would be great because you could really see the times creep up as the event went on. Okay, Real quickly now, let's go ahead and look at the championship standings as they are. Starting with the manufacturers, two teams have yet to break the 100-point mark. 10th is the AlphaTauri. They still only have 72 points, and time is running out for them to get to that triple-digit point mark. 9th is Williams with 89 points. They just need 11 points if they want to get to that 100-point mark, but again, time is running out for them. 8th is Aston Martin. They have 113 points. 7th is Alpine with 120. 6th is Mercedes with 159. 5th is Alfa Romeo with 166. 4th is Haas with 188. Third is Red Bull with 283. Honestly, Red Bull is pretty much locked up third in the Manufacturers' Championship just off of Zola's performance alone. Zola went for about 40% of the season without any teammate and pretty much locked up third in the championship in the Manufacturers' Championship for his team during that time. And then we get to the battle at the top. McLaren second with 436 points. Ferrari at the top with 440. When it comes to the Drivers' Championship, 20th is Zackel. He has 2 points. 19th is Imperium SD with 13. 18th is BTEC 11 with 17 points. 17th is Goldmere with 25. 16th is Fryers with 31 points. 15th is Higgs Boston 97. He has 32 points. 14th is Paging Dr. Phil. He has 46 points. 13th is Ediggity with 48. 12th is Mercedes AMG with 52 points. 11th is Veli with 60 points. 10th is AKA Herbie with 72 points. 9th is Extra Snake with 74. And then we get into this fight for 5th in Drivers' Championship. 8th is Dragonborn 2004. He has 81 points. Dave and Collie Boy teammates are tied for 6th with 83 points each. And 5th is XO Flavor. Flavor has gotten to that point off the back of finishing, I think, all but 2 or all but 3 races thus far. And he brings home points every single race pretty much. But that advantage is starting to fade away, and there's a chance that he might be overtaken by either Alfa Romeo or Haas soon. Then we have the fight for second in the Drivers' Championship. Fourth is Mantic Meerkat with 211 points. Third is Herbago with 225. And second is Zola with 229. And then Schumacher leads with 334 points. Again, if Schumacher can take home 3 points today, or if Zola fails to win today's race, Schumacher locks up this Drivers' Championship by default. Should have locked it up last week, but circumstances kept that from happening, so...
Yeah, and I couldn't join the game, so I'm joining now. I just had to restart my F1. On.
The big thing, though, I think this is going to really be a massive event, massive day for the McLarens, because I don't see any reason that... You have gotten into the lobby, haven't you?
I am joining now.
Okay. But yeah, one thing to consider, Schumacher's really just here to survive and take it home today. And Flavor, while he was fast enough to get into the final round of qualifying, he does not seem to have the pace to fight with the McLarens. I'm going to be very honest. I think this will definitely be a day of celebration for the Ferrari camp. But when it comes to the actual Manufacturers' Championship, though, I think McLaren has a very significant advantage, because neither of the Ferraris are really going to be in position to fight with them. So with that in mind, I think McLaren's going to walk out of here with unless something goes horribly wrong for them, I think McLaren walks out of here with a very significant lead in the Manufacturers. And I think then Ferrari has to figure out a way to play catch-up over what's basically the last 3 races of the season. We have yet to rank China, Portimao, and Miami, from what I understand, will be the season finale. So, yeah, I think the McLarens are going to walk home this Manufacturers' Championship as long as both of them finish. Now, Herbago's ability to finish and finish in the points has been a little bit questionable, but he has the pace. I think he can. I think if anyone can do it, it will definitely be him. All right, so it will be a 19-car grid by the looks of it, and we should be getting underway shortly here. And then when they get all readied up and we get underway, it will still be another 5 minutes as drivers will get the ability to get their setups reapplied. So we're going to be running pretty bloody late for today's race start itself. It's kind of a shame because we actually were ahead of schedule when it came to the end of qualifying, but...
I'm back.
All right. I mean, we're just waiting. They're only now loading onto the track, and it's still going to be a 5-minute wait until we get into the event itself. For the majority of the season, with the exception of Mexico, everyone has basically ran a medium hard or hard medium tire strategy. Again, the cars are a little bit slower. They have a little bit less over-the-top downforce, but a lot more under-body downforce. They're also a little bit heavier. And the fact that you don't have to start on the tires that you went through Q2 with means that basically 90% of the races, more than 90% realistically, have just basically come down to doing a one-stop strategy, going medium to hards or hard to mediums. Typically, if you start on the mediums and then go to hards, the advantage is that you have a better launch from the start. If you go hards and then swap on the mediums, the advantage is that you will be faster by the end of the race. So, is somebody ready up early?
What do you mean?
Okay, nope, never mind.
Yeah, we have 19. Who's this? I thought we had 20.
No, we had 19.
Oh, I think I got somebody left.
We have 3 people spectating because Shikari, as an official, wants to watch the race himself due to declining driver standards. We'll put it that way. I'm not gonna. I mean, personally, I wouldn't drive any different if an official was eagle-eyeing me or not. I know because I've been in that position before. All right. So real quickly, next week we're going to be underway at Portimao. Chubby, you've had some interesting experiences at Portimao. Going back, because we think back to last season, the last full season, which was in the prior game, you came into that race with 2 titles on the line, drivers and manufacturers. End up having to fight your way up through the grid after not being allowed to qualify.
Qualifying ban, yep.
You got up to about 6th position, got spun by somebody else. The track stayed green. You got back by them a few laps later and made your way all the way up into 4th, high enough that you would have locked up the Drivers and Manufacturers Championship just off of that alone. Then there was a yellow flag as the rain, because the race had been wet to begin with, as the rain started to fade away and the track got dry for a 2-lap shootout, NASCAR style green-white checkered, and you went out and flew from 4th all the way to 1st and won at Portimao, bringing home a win, a championship for the drivers, and the manufacturers championship all at once. So next week, at least historically, has been really good, is a track that's been really good for the Ferraris, and I think with the way that's shaping up today, they're going to need it, because I really do not see any way that anyone can accurately and seriously fight with the McLarens here. They just seem impossible to beat today.
Yeah, unless they do some type of implosion in the team, there's no way anybody's probably going to score more points out of anybody in the constructors right now, at least this race.
Yeah.
I mean, they're starting 1 and 3. They were so fast in qualifying.
Yeah.
So, unless they just
yeah.
implode,
And mind you, last week, Herbago had an implosion because they got involved in some incidents. He actually ran with only about 1 second off the rest of the field in pace with no wing. The officials tried to smack Herbago with a massive penalty for that, for running without a wing, despite the fact that he honestly had good pace. But Herbago took them to task over it, and actually in the rules there was nothing against it, so Herbago did win that. No penalty against him in the end, but he brought home no points last week anyway. Not because of that, but because they jumped onto soft tires and the track was still wet at the end, so he finished 11th out of the points. But with that in mind, overall, even if one of the McLarens completely fail, if the other one wins, they're pretty much guaranteed to advance unless somehow the Ferraris come home 2nd, 3rd, or 2nd and 4th. So, yeah, I think McLaren walks out of here with the lead in the manufacturers by default, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Unless they do what they did, I think, at Mexico, where they just imploded there and they didn't score that many points. Am I correct by that? They didn't score that many points because one of them was like 8th and one was like 6th or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest time for the McLarens at Mexico, but they still brought home points. Real
That would have to
quickly,
happen.
changing the focus from the manufacturers championship to the driver's actual performance. Everyone on track starting on either medium or hard tires. Meerkat starting on medium, Zola starting on hards, Herbago starting on mediums, Dragonborn starting on hards, Schumacher on hards, Dr. Phil on hards, Snake on hards, Flavor on hards, and then everyone through the rest of the field until you get to Eggity and 18th is on mediums.
A lot of hearts.
Yeah, but a lot more mediums. But yeah, this is a lot more hards than normal. Typically, a lot of drivers have said that they prefer to start on the medium tires because they get a better launch and a better first lap. But starting on the hards means that you can go a lot longer, and if you don't think there's going to be any yellow flags in the early to mid sections of the event, this could really help you out starting on the hards because you don't have to worry about anything else. You can open up a massive gap on the rest of the field.
Yeah, as you just said it, I used to, when you used to go on mediums or hards, like if you qualified in Q2 last game, I'd go mediums, but a lot of the time I would kind of get screwed because there'd be safety cars before you could actually, like, before the, higher age could actually, like, sustain. Like, if you would go mediums or hards, and a safety car came out on lap 7 of, like, for instance, 29 in last game, you would be either pushing it, or it would just be stupid to go on hards because you would just be overtaken so much. So...
But you couldn't really stay out on mediums. Yeah, sometimes if yellow flags come out early enough, you almost want to start on the soft tires.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really happened a whole lot this season, of people even starting on the softs and then being able to utilize it. A lot of times when people start on softs, they're in the back of the grid and they either get caught up in lap 1 instance, or they are the reason for the yellow, or they're just too far back to really even take advantage of it.
Yeah.
All right, field's lined up now.
One thing before, I'm just surprised that nobody in the back started on softs just to try to get something.
All right, I'll focus on the front. You go ahead and focus on the back as we see the lights. 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, away we go here at Abu Dhabi. Meerkat has no problem getting off the line. Herbago is falling through the grid. He's already dropped off back to 5th position behind the championship leader of Schumacher. Schumacher gets by Dragonborn. Zola is behind the McLaren of Meerkat, though. And the entire field made it through turn 1 without issue by the looks of it. No Imran, Zackle has had an issue in the back.
Yep. And this is not going to be good for Herbago because, as we've been talking about, he is running a bit higher downforce setup, and he is behind Dragonborn, who has, it looks like he's the fastest in a straight line.
Dragonborn goes to the inside of Schumacher at the end of the straightaway. How aggressively does Schumacher fight? These two have had a lot of fights together, with Dragonborn winning almost every one of them. But Schumacher so much better going through the chicane. Now Herbago, he also is so much better through the chicane. He's got right behind the Haas. He wants to try and make a move on the Haas going into the sweeper.
The Dragonborn just too fast on a straight line. That couldn't happen. And Meerkat,
now Dragonborn closing.
And Meerkat is trying
to back in.
Pull away from Zola.
Oh wow, Herbago is giving Dragonborn all sorts of grief through Sector 3. Again. Oh wow, he's there. He's trying to make an overtake without DRS. I think Herbago's gonna get him here. No, couldn't.
Oh, he bumped
but he touches him.
Yeah.
The Haas keeps it together though.
This is.
Oh, and there goes! Big slide! He saved it! He saved it, but he's lost positions now.
What a save. Yeah, he.
And now here comes his teammate 11, and here comes AK Herbie behind as well.
He is just struggling a little bit too much on that low downforce setup. Dr. Phil's up in the 5th. I forgot he had such a good qualifying about like 20 minutes ago.
Well, his qualifying wasn't that good. He was only started about 7th or so, but just a lot of drivers ahead of him, he's nicked them early on here.
Yeah. Oh!
Flavor around! He's made contact with Fratters as well, so Flavor, number 2 in the Ferrari team, is out of points. So yeah, with McLaren 1st and 4th right now, this is great for them.
And at the moment, the top 3 are all about 9/10 to a second away from each other.
Ravago now under pressure from Dr. Phil. This is going to get really interesting here, though, because this is the lap DRS. We're about to come on the lap where DRS will activate, and Dragonborn is going to be absolutely flying down the straightaways. Yeah. I don't know if he'll be able to get ahead and then stay ahead of Dr. Phil, though. I don't know if Dragonborn's even going to be close enough to take advantage of DRS, actually. He is that slow in the twisties.
Yeah, no, he is struggling through these. But he actually got back in, I think.
Yeah, he barely got back in, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to fight against Dr. Phil going down the first straight. He'll have to hope that he nails the switchback and then gets him in the next one. Because here's the other thing. Dr. Phil does not have DRS off the McLaren ahead.
Oh my!
But he does have draft.
Goodness, the closing speed. Oh, and he went a little bit wide, Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Dr. Phil did not have a good run through the twisties.
He's already flashing. And we just saw the closing speed of Dragonborn on Phil. Oh, he might get him here.
No, I don't think so. Phil had DRS as a defense. Yeah, he couldn't get alongside of him going into the corner that time.
And it does look like Schumacher has got right behind Zola. He did get in the DRS of Zola, so that's worked out well for him.
Oh, Phil made another mistake in the hotel section.
Pushing down to about 30% ERS on it, so.
And Dragonborn's also pushing. He only has 32% ERS right now. But Dr. Phil, here's the interesting. Dr. Phil has less ERS than the driver ahead and behind him. And Dr. Phil needs to be in fuel-saving mode. At the front, though, Zola, 60, 70% DRS. I mean, ERS. Schumacher is only at 60. So Zola has an advantage when it comes to ERS in that fight right now.
A little bit wide. A little bit of a moment there through the fast right-hander. I think Schumacher might be able to get Zola on the straight. Oh, not a great exit for Schumacher there. But could he get him here?
I don't think he will. Zola feels really confident. He's not utilizing his ERS at all.
Neither of them are. Twister left the session. I think he might have lagged out. But also Dragonborn farther back, he is right behind Dr. Phil, and Dr. Phil does not have DRS. I think he's just going to blow
here it comes.
Right by him. Oh, and
Schumacher gets by Zola as well.
He's on the outside.
So Schumacher, yeah, Zola fights back on the inside, though, and gets back ahead of the Ferrari. And while those two are fighting, it brings Ravago back into the fray.
Ravago's still in the DRS. Schumacher is just so eager to get past Zola here. He was pushing him around the second and third, started the third sector here, then dropped off a little bit because he got too close. But
Schumacher seems to lunge into the corners a bit more, while Zola's a lot more reserved entering the corners, then shoots out of the corners. Because I'm watching that Ferrari and the right on board with Ravago, it looks like the Ferrari and the Red Bull.
I think that was Flavor spun?
Gulminator, I think.
Or Gulminator.
Gulminator spun into the pits by the looks of it.
Oh, why? He's reversing out of the pits? Okay, don't get
he didn't want to pit.
That really sucked for him there.
Alright, look at this. Second, third, and fourth all right on top of each other. Ravago has DRS on Schumacher. Schumacher has DRS on Zola.
Nothing yet, though. Through here. Both of the people in front of Ravago are on harder tires. They all are dumping.
Schumacher gets along to the inside this time. But can he make it stick? He got alongside through here last time and couldn't make it stick. What about this time?
Zola did go off track a tiny bit. Or no, he got past him.
Yeah, he's by him, and now Ravago is behind Zola. So first, second, and third on track. First, second, third in the championship. Second, third, fourth. And yeah, and he's going to have to do it fast because there's no reason that Zola can't clap back. Zola has an ERS advantage as well, so an ERS-DRS combo would put Zola in a great position to fight against Schumacher.
60% for Zola. About 50%
But here's the other
thing.
Here's the other thing to consider, though. Dragonborn is back there in 5th, and he is recovering from that twitch earlier. He is coming back, and he might... Dragonborn might make this a turn the menage a trois into a foursome fight for 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, this is usually where they're fighting. So, it's usually where they are slow, so... He might be able to get him. He is faster than these people, even without DRS, so... He is very low on ERS, though, so that could not... Probably not going to help him.
Herbago to the inside of Zola. Side by side as they go into the chicane, and Herbago is by. Can Zola get him on the switchback, though?
Both kind of exits, but I think Herbago got enough of got the traction down just well enough for him to get by a little bit. Yeah,
and the top
Herbago
6 have opened up a nearly 7-second gap on the fight from 7th on back.
And Herbago did waste a lot of ERS there. Now he's about 20%. Zola didn't use that much, but I think Zola's playing a long game here. I think he knows that he's going to have the ERS advantage here. Just stick behind him.
Problem for Zola, though, is that he now has Dragonborn right behind him, and while that Red Bull
and the DRS, too.
Yeah, Dragonborn is going to absolutely lunge on Zola. Zola does have an ERS advantage, and Zola will likely be able to use DRS to keep the Haas behind, but that Haas is running the low down force setup, the one that we thought the McLarens are going to have, but it's Dragonborn who's running it. And that low down force setup, I think, is fast enough that he could outrun DRS if necessary.
Oh, somebody spawned.
Sector 1, Phil!
Oh, right in the racing line. Oh, he's lucky nobody was right behind him. That was interesting, but...
Oh, 3 wide for the position! Herbie will hold it over Phil for now. They make contact twice coming out of the corner, though. Oh, wow, this is going to be crazy because there's a bunch of drivers all on top of each other here.
Not going to be good. Oh, you think Jelebin coming in here? Did he make it 3 wide?
Under braking.
No. Oh, Big Jelebin got hit by Coolie Boy from behind. I think Coolie Boy might have a little bit of damage.
Dave trying to fight with Phil, but Phil has a lower downforce setup, and he pulls ahead for the moment. So Phil recovers to 8th.
Phil went down a little bit downward spiral after that spin. Unlucky for him.
Claver gets by Fratters farther back, and Herbago just got a time penalty while trying to keep Zola behind him.
Safety car.
A full course safety car. Oh, and that would be for, I believe it was Veli who had a spin. But yeah, we are now under a full course yellow. This opens up the event, and Snake is the first driver to pit. The top 5 were ahead of the pit entry, so no one in the top 5 will be able to pit.
No, he has front wing. I'm confused. What's that for?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on either. I don't know why the yellow came out.
This did help Schumacher a little bit. Because he was 2 seconds behind, and he was getting a bit of time on Mantic Meerkat, but I think Mantic Meerkat might have been just pacing himself a little bit.
Other things to consider is that Herbago and Dr. Phil were both low on fuel. This yellow flag will help them make their fuel numbers to the end now.
And Schumacher also is too. And this will definitely help Dragonborn. I don't know if you already said this, but he was so low on ERS. Now this is great for him to recoup a lot of his ERS.
So Schumacher now in a position to fight with Mantic Meerkat for the race lead. His teammate Flavor stayed out, and he is now all the way up into 7th position. And mind you, Flavor is on the hard tires, as is Schumacher. So we know the Ferraris are going to go a long time.
I think there'll be another safety car here soon. I think that was a good idea from him.
Does anyone in the top 5 elect to pit here under this yellow flag? That's going to be the question. Oh, hello. Meerkat pits. Schumacher pits.
Top 3 are all
Herbago pits. They might end up double stacking in the McLaren camp.
That is not
Dragonborn
smart.
is going to stay out, though. Yeah, it's a double stint. They double stacked in the McLarens. So that's going to hurt Herbago. It'll drop him.
Actually,
no,
no.
it won't hurt Herbago that much.
Wow, he
He'll
got
fall behind Dr. Phil on track, but he won't lose a position to Zola. So yeah, that did not hurt Herbago as much as I thought it would.
Ooh, Herbago almost went into the pits. Or went into the wall, sorry. Exiting the pit a little bit. And it looks like Schumacher's the only one to go on mediums. So,
Yeah, Meerkat went from a set of mediums to a set of hards. Schumacher went from a set of hards to a set of mediums. So Schumacher is going to have to pit again.
unless he
Meerkat,
can
though,
hold
is
this
on
out.
tires. Yeah, no,
don't
there's
know?
no way mediums are going to last 20 laps. Absolutely no way. Not unless we were running like every other lap under yellow. Meerkat has the tire advantage, though, because Meerkat does not have to pit to the end, and the same goes for Herbago. So the McLarens not only, I think, are the fastest two on track now, they now have a very significant advantage. They do not have to pit again to the end of this race.
This is going to be interesting now, because Dr. Phil is up there, along with Dragonborn,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, both Dr. Phil and Dragonborn have made mistakes that dropped them back, but now they're back up in front on worn hard tires. And Bourne has enough straight line speed, he could potentially outrun Dr. Phil when it comes to DRS. He outran Dr. Phil once earlier. And not to mention, Dragonborn is now going to have a full bar or near full bar of ERS when they restart. I think there's a high likelihood we're going to see that Haas up front just run away.
I have a feeling you're right here. And I think we're going to have another lap of safety car. Because it looks like Dominator is all the way back on that second straight still, and while we're going... Yep.
Yeah, so we're not going to go green until lap 11 here.
Oh, Dr. Phil. He went off at the last corner. I don't know. I think he might have been trying to avoid Dragonborn.
Also, another thing to consider, Dragonborn, every time he's been in this position, he doesn't start going until the last possible moment. He is very, very late when it comes to actually timing the restarts. Everybody knows that. There's nothing against it. So how does Dr. Phil and Meerkat react when Dragonborn is going to start so late? Not just that, that's also going to have a massive knock-on effect farther back in the grid.
Interesting. But also, wait.
Hard tires now.
When did Herbago get a 3-second?
Just before the yellow flag came out.
Might have been distracted. That's not gonna be good for him. Along with
No, but I do think the McLarens, the thing is though, Herbago, I think, is in a good enough position that 3 seconds may not harm him. If we go green to the end of this race, those McLarens are in position to just win this race by default by staying out while everyone else will have to pit. The only other person on the same strategy as them right now is Zackel. And Zackel's all the way back there in 19th, and he has to rush to catch the rear of the field. So,
I think, and also we talked about this before the race. It's going on that very alternate strategy like the hards. It's very dangerous because, as I said, a safety car kind of early in the race where you can't quite extend to those, either mediums, hards, or whatever to the end of the race. It's gonna mess you up a little bit. So we'll see what happens here.
we should be going green this lap.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go late safety car call in. This game is amazing. Yep, there we go.
There it is, yeah, very late. All right, Dragonborn is normally very late at launching. So how does Dr. Phil and Meerkat respond?
Can't go side by side, Dr. Phil.
And we're off. And Schumacher nicked Meerkat. Meerkat was caught off guard, and Schumacher is by. Schumacher's already by one of the McLarens.
He might get... Oh, who spun? Somebody spun.
That's Dave. Dave in the back of the field. But the top three are all on top of each other right now.
Top 4. Meerkat going for the lunge. Oh, he bumped him.
Contact! Another round of contact. And Schumacher accelerates out. Here comes Dr. Phil on Bourne.
But,
Can't get him.
Dragonborn is just so fast in a straight line. Herbie's going down the inside.
And here comes Phil on Bourne, side by side for a lead again. And
is out there is because his straight line speed is unbelievable.
Top three all on top of each other still. Schumacher is on the mediums. They're way younger and fresher than these two, but all three of these drivers will have to pit again.
He needs to get by Dr. Phil here. I think this might make or break his race here.
And the other thing to consider is that Meerkat is right there behind Schumacher. If Schumacher makes a mistake, Meerkat will go back by him. And right now, Schumacher is the only Ferrari in points-paying position, so he needs to take home as many points as possible for his manufacturers.
Wait, what happened to Zola?
Excuse me, 1 second.
Did we miss that? Oh well. Schumacher, almost went down the inside of Dr. Phil. He got a good exit though. Let's see what he can do with this. All of them going to the very inside. Oh, might just have a nose inside of Dr. Phil. Will Schumacher dive down the inside of him? No, he won't. He'll be a little bit more cautious. Could get him out on this second straight though. No, it doesn't look like he will. But Meerkat dropped back a lot during that whole debacle. Oh, and Schumacher going down the inside of Phil. What a great move from Schumacher.
I apologize. I apologize for that hiccup. I'm sorry. A very important thing come to the door.
You're good.
At the front, Schumacher has made his way up into second, though. Dr. Phil has slipped back to third. Now Meerkat needs to try and get by that Red Bull as fast as he can.
And also,
big twitch by Phil.
Before you left, I was talking about Zola dropped all the way down to 18th. I don't know when we missed that, but that was... He dropped all the way down. I think he might have had a spin.
At the front, Schumacher fighting with Dragonborn. We've seen this fight play out time and time again, and usually is Dragonborn who beats Schumacher. But coming onto the back straightaway, Schumacher is ahead of Dragonborn. Born has the speed, though. Schumacher has DRS as a defense, and even with DRS, Dragonborn is faster than DRS.
Jeez.
And Meerkat gets by Dr. Phil, finally, through the chicane. And Collie Boy has had it. BTEC Jelebin has spun out now. Dr. Jelebin has fallen to 17th, maybe even 18th now. Herbago on Dr. Phil. Now both of the McLarens are by Phil's Red Bull. Oh, big slide by Phil there.
And Fratters, I think, has had a spin. Yeah, Fratters did have a spin. The sweeping left-hander. Oh, and Dragonborn's coming into the pits. Oh my!
No, he didn't.
Goodness.
He did not come into the pits. Dragonborn did not come into the pits. Dragonborn let off. Dragonborn overcooked it. He's now behind the McLarens.
But he could maybe get him on this DRS straight.
The big thing, though, is that Schumacher now has the lead, although Schumacher will still have to pit while the McLarens behind him do not. But Schumacher now has the lead.
Let's see what Dragonborn can do down the straight, though.
He is in position to get DRS, but the McLarens have it also.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. 212, 213, 214, 215, 215 miles an hour. He overtook Herbago, and Herbago had DRS as well. Dragonborn is just so bloody fast. Even when he makes a mistake, he's able to come back from it very quickly, very efficiently. This is incredible.
It's like the new world speed record or something in a car with wheels. Something like that. He's insanely fast.
And while Dragonborn is dicing up with Herbago, Snake farther back is dicing it up with Dr. Phil. And Meerkat has not let Schumacher get away yet. If the top two keep fighting, Dragonborn will be there, but Herbago is not done. Herbago goes around the outside of Herbago.
Oh,
and Dragonborn's hit! Dragonborn's been hit! Dragonborn's accident! And now he falls to the back of the grid, and that's it! Dragonborn's race is over! And that's the problem with having such a low downforce setup!
Oh! Gave up this one into him, a Toy Boy.
And Dragonborn's race is over! And that's the problem with the low downforce setup. Dragonborn got overtaken on the outside by Herbago, and when that arrow wake hit the Haas, there was just no downforce left on that car, and he went around right in front of the field. He was lucky that only one driver hit him, and that we stay green.
And I don't think we've been talking about this, but Sola's made his way up to 11th from 18th with all that carnage happening.
And Flavor has made his way back into the points as well in 9th.
He still needs to
pit.
So
the Ferraris are... Yeah, that's the thing. The Ferraris are still in a bad position against the McLarens, and now Meerkat continues to hound Schumacher for the lead.
Dr. Phil and Herbie are next to each other, but it looks as if Herbie has got the...
Herbie's out of ERS, though, going down the straight.
Somebody spun. Imperium is spun.
And now Veli has a run on Dr. Phil.
He spun again.
Imperium spun again, yeah. So Herbago does to Dragonborn what Schumacher did to Herbago back at Spa. That low downforce setup just is no good in the corners or under heavy braking. And now Herbago is back in 3rd, likely to finish 2nd because no one else around him is really in position to match him on strategy and beat him on time penalties. Down the back straightaway again. Meerkat's at 24% ERS. Gillespie has crashed out in the S's. Gillespie is not in the S's, but in turn 2. That will be another full course yellow.
That has helped Schumacher so much.
Yeah, this is a perfect time for Schumacher to pit and jump on to another set of tires.
If I was them, I might pit because, I mean, 13 laps on mediums. Then, I mean, by the end of the race, it's going to be 20-lap-old hards on 13-lap-old mediums or something like that, even with these safety car laps. So this could be good. But also the problem
is, if the McLarens both pit, though, is that they'll end up double stacking, and Herbago could lose a position to Herbie or even Dr. Phil.
Good thing with Herbago is he could back off because he is Herbie 3 seconds behind, so he can back off a little bit.
We know Schumacher is more likely going to pit here. What about Meerkat?
They're both pitting.
Yep, here they come. Do they double stack in the McLaren camp?
Oh,
no, Herbago stays out.
That is interesting, especially with this penalty. He might just be trying to hold up somebody, but it looks like everybody's going to come into the pits.
Might as well. This yellow is just at about halftime, so if you're on hards, jump onto mediums. If you're on mediums, jump onto the hards. It's that simple. Schumacher stays ahead of Meerkat coming out of the pits, so there's not really a whole lot of changes that go on throughout the field. Zackel, though, stays out, so he now is going to go all the way up into probably 4th position by the looks of it.
And this has helped out Schumacher so much.
Herbie, they put the set of medium tires on Herbie's car that he started on, so Herbie's on worn mediums.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, the tires on Herbie's car will not last to the end of this race.
I better hope for a few more safety cars. But this restart's going to be interesting. Herbago with 8-lap-old hards against Schumacher on new mediums. But also, this also might be good for Meerkat and Schumacher because there's a call right behind them.
Another thing to consider, this does bring Dragonborn somewhat back into the fray. I don't think Dragonborn's in a position to fight for a lead or anything again, but he's now going to be 12th, fighting with drivers that he's not really fought with before. They're not going to be aware of how bloody fast he is in a straight line. I could see Dragonborn maybe gain up to 7th or 8th position. The problem is, though, Dragonborn, the more and more he fights with other people in corners, the worse and worse off he's going to be.
And he also dumps a lot of his ERS there, too. So.
Yeah, he dumps all of his ERS right away, and then just relies on that incredible straight line speed, and then, if necessary, DRS to make up more positions.
I assume we're probably going into lap 19 or something around
19,
there.
yeah, I think 19 because Imperium had made his stop.
So far back.
Yeah, but
Just now
Imperium made
going
his
through
stop
this
right before the
chicane.
yellow came out, so there's no reason for Imperium to make a pit.
Yeah. This did help him out though. I mean, he was dead last.
Dr. Phil may have a small advantage because he is the, although everyone should make it to from now to the end on fuel, he has less extra fuel in the car than anyone else.
Does Imperium have a Delta?
Usually you do have a delta that you have to hit when you're that far back. It's annoying.
Yeah, that's stupid. So, I mean,
yeah, everyone in the field is going to be incredibly overweight with the exception of Dr. Phil. I think Dr. Phil has maybe not a massive advantage, but he does have a advantage because that car is not going to be nearly as overfueled. Most of the field is a lap to 4 laps overfueled.
No, a lot of people are overfueled, never mind.
Yeah, the entire field is overfueled, but Dr. Phil is the least amount overfueled right now. So I really don't know how this is going to work out for Herbago because we know Herbago doesn't have to pit, but now Herbago is on older tires than the 2 cars right behind him, Schumacher and Meerkat. I imagine that both of them could be able to get by him. Is Herbago fast enough, though, to stay in the points-paying positions and give the McLarens the manufacturer's points lead?
Yeah, and this will be interesting. Schumacher just needs to keep it clean, not get any damage here. So.
Well, he also needs to keep Meerkat behind him, though. That's the other thing.
If he's going for the race to win, then yes. But if he's going for the championship, I say don't risk it too much.
But there's a manufacturer's title in play. Do you really want to go ahead and risk throwing that away as well?
With them first and third, there's a great chance they're going to gain a lot of points on you anyways. Oh, and we're getting another lap.
Yeah, they did wait until Imperium. Imperium, mind you, was about 3/4 of a lap down when the yellow came out. No one else pits, though.
Well, I guess this is where the team dynamic comes in.
Yeah.
Do they want to secure the title, the driver's title, or do they want to secure the constructors?
Again, Schumacher's pretty much guaranteed to wrap up the title as long as Zola doesn't win today's race. So, and Zola's not in any position to win right now. So I think for Schumacher, screw wrapping up the driver's title. You've pretty much done it. Just go for the win.
Hey.
You gotta counter the McLarens. If you want to get that manufacturer title, you gotta counter the McLarens. And that's against Flavor, but Flavor, the number 2 driver at the Ferrari camp, has nothing on Meerkat, who has been considered the number 2 driver in the McLaren camp. Schumacher basically has to hold off both McLarens on his own. It reminds me a lot like what Michael Schumacher actually did have to do back in 1998 and 1999. You gotta do it. If you're in Schumacher's position, you've got to go for the win now. You've got to nip and counter the McLaren's advantage any way you can. The wild card is going to be Herbago. He's got a time penalty. He's on older tires than everyone else on the field right now. And while Herbago's tires are going to make it to the end, it's going to be interesting. All right, Herbago is going to choose how the field takes the green flag, but it's going to be a while because the pace car is still on track. But when Herbago goes, how does Schumacher react?
This is an early notification. You got it towards when we were coming to the last corner last time.
Yeah, go from a very early to very late. Yeah, Schumacher caught Meerkat on the restart last time. I don't know if Schumacher's going to be able to do that to Herbago this time, though. Pace car is still on track.
It does have a big tire difference, so this could help Schumacher a lot. But I guess as we've seen in this season, you just defend. Oh, he went off track a little bit there.
And they're off as it comes to the second to last corner. That keeps Schumacher from going side by side, going into the last corner. The top 3 already pull away. Zackel is under threat from Herbie. And Herbie is under threat from Dr. Phil.
Snake
Phil
is
not
down.
able to make a move on them yet.
Oh, somebody's
Sweetster's crashed out. And that's Sweester who's out.
Dave, 3 seconds.
We stay green though. Oh, Veli. Oh, Herbago and Schumacher are fighting for a lead. Side by side, Herbago has it. Schumacher wants it. They made contact twice, 3 times. There's a drag race down the straightaway. Schumacher has an ERS advantage as both of them are laying on it down the straight.
He's pulling a little bit on him. But is Herbago gonna dive? No, he's not. He might wait. Oh, he's hit him!
He turned him! He turned him! And now he does the Hamilton!
Yeah, well, it didn't go
but Schumacher recovered and Schumacher holds the lead over the McLaren.
Wow. That was...
He turned him, but Herbago, very respectfully, although he cut the track, he did it very slow, so he didn't unfairly take an advantage. And Schumacher holds the lead, and now Herbago is behind Meerkat on track. And I don't want to say that was intentional. It looked to me just like Herbago misjudged when they were... Yeah, just a little bit of misjudgment that happens during racing.
Maybe just a little bit more on the dirty side, but that's still racing.
Oh, Zackel hits the wall. And Dragonborn, look at Dragonborn, he's already up into 8th. No DRS, he's just using pure speed, and he's already up into 8th now.
Great recovery from him. But as we
Dr.
look
Phil
back
looks
into
to
the
the
lead,
inside of Veli. He lunges, makes contact. Both of them really compromise their turn 1, but Dr. Phil is by Veli now for 5th. Veli's trying to fight back though on the run down. Golminator is crash trying to come into the pits. And Veli gets by Dr. Phil in the hairpin, but Dr. Phil accelerates out of it and takes the lead back.
It looks like he is going to.
Yeah, a no DRS overtake. And Phil now goes up into 4th. And now look at this. Dragonborn is right there in the back of this fight. He runs into one of the braking signs because he had so much speed. Oh! And now he runs to the back of the... Yep, he's hurt his wing. Now hitting the back of the AlphaTauri. So that kills Dragonborn's forward momentum again.
Oh, that's...
Now Flavor is going to move up into the 9th position. Will probably take 8th from the Haas as well.
Yeah. See, that's what I was scared of with all this. I thought would happen actually up in the lead, but happened back in the pack to Dragonborn. As we look back to the lead, only 4/10 separates first and second.
Yeah, Meerkat will have DRS to fight against Schumacher with when they come down the back straightaway.
And
they are
Schumacher.
even. Actually, Meerkat has a 3% advantage in ERS against Schumacher right now. Oh, and Dragonborn now has a time penalty, and Dragonborn's staying out on track with that damaged front wing. I don't know if Dragonborn wasn't in a position where he could pit because he's in the middle of a gaggle of cars. He may not have had the ability to swerve into pit lane. But I think this is going to kill Dragonborn's ability to take home points. And with Flavor in the points, both of the Alfa Romeos out of the points main position, and Dragonborn only 10th, Flavor's in a position to further solidify his grasp on 5th in the Driver Championship.
Is Meerkat going to go for the dive
here? Here comes Meerkat. Meerkat's going for the dive on Schumacher.
But I think Schumacher's going to get the DRS here. So he could come back fast.
He is. Back to the inside comes the Ferrari.
It looks like there's been something happening in the chicane back there, but I think it's all cleared up now. As Schumacher comes back
holds
past.
the lead.
Oh, Mantic Meerkat might get a run here, though.
You don't want to make overtakes here if you can help it. The car is very, very unsettled in these corners.
Oh, Mantic Meerkat's so close to the back of Schumacher. Oh my goodness. Dragonborn's still in 8th though, so...
Yeah, he has enough straight line speed, especially with the damaged front wing. He'll be even faster in a straight line due to having less drag. The thing though is that Dragonborn is going to lose all that time and then some in all the corners here. Yeah. He pits now. So he actually gained time back by staying out an extra lap, but he's still going to drop well out of the points. I think he's going to drop all the way back to about 15th, 16th position.
And as we look to the lead again, Mantic Meerkat's only 3 cents behind at the moment, so he's probably
Schumacher has an ERS advantage. Schumacher has an ERS advantage he can try to use to fight back, but I think Meerkat's going to get it. Here he comes.
He's going to go down the inside, I think. Yes, he is.
He's got him. Schumacher backs out early.
He's going to get
He'll try to get him on the switchback.
He's doing a Paris.
Here comes Schumacher on the outside this time. A little bit harder to make the
got
outside
him.
pass stick, but he's by. And while these two are fighting, they're actually pulling away from Herbago. Herbago has lost touch with the top two, and Dr. Phil is actually closing in on Herbago now. Meerkat, again, you don't want to be making overtakes in this section, but Meerkat is looking for overtakes in the Sector 3.
He's just pushing him around Sector 3. Now, what would kill one of these people is getting a time penalty here.
Yeah, getting a time penalty would decide the race for good, pretty much.
Yep.
Zola's gotten back into the points. He's now back into 9th.
Yeah. Annie Diggity sadly drops back into 13th after being in 7th for a second. Oh, Schumacher a little bit wide there.
Meerkat's lost a bit of time on Schumacher this time, but he'll still be within DRS range. The two are even on ERS.
Great first sector by Schumacher there, gained like 6 tenths on him.
Meerkat will have DRS for 2 straightaways in a row. Is he going to try and get Schumacher going down into the sweeper? Schumacher had a better acceleration out.
Great. Looks like you have to be like right behind each other for these two to get past back each other. Both of them are such low on an ERS that it's just going to be so hard for whoever's behind to get past back somebody.
Yeah. But at this point, Schumacher has actually squeezed out a small ERS advantage against Meerkat.
Meerkat is using every inch of the track here.
Dr. Phil is not closing on Herbago in 3rd much faster at this stage in the event.
Everybody in the top 4 is so low in ERS. Oh, and I think we missed
by Dave for 10th.
Flavor getting past Herbie, but now Herbie's in the pits.
Yeah, Herbie's in the pits. So Flavor now into 6th spot. So both Ferraris in the points-paying positions. Although Zola is the driver behind Flavor, and I think Zola may be fast enough to try and sneak by Flavor here by the end. But still, this is what the Ferraris need to do.
Who spun?
Accident! Alfa Romeo! Collie Boy!
He's not out, though. Oh,
and that's a yellow! Oh, and this opens up the entire race.
This could help Ferrari a lot because Flavor right there is in 6th place, and like 3 of the 5 people in front of him.
So many drivers have time penalties.
Yeah. Plus, Herbago might have to pit because. Oh. Now, what's the dilemma here?
Do the leaders pit? That's the other thing. Do the leaders pit?
I don't think so here. Everybody.
Well, when we go green, there's not going to be any DRS, so you want to know who's really going to be the best driver in this scenario? Dragonborn.
That is true, but
Dragonborn does not have to worry at all about overtakes. Yeah, but I think Dragonborn's going to make a...
I don't think you pit here. You're going to lose too much track position if you pit here. Oh! Oh! That was... Wait, did he cross the line there?
Snake's pitting. Snake's pitting.
Did he really?
So Snake pits out 5th.
That's going to help Flavor a lot. He's going to be behind Phil. But Zola is going to be right behind Flavor. And I'm going to guess we'll probably go on to the start of lap 28.
28? Yeah, I think we're going to start on lap 28. This is going to be a 2-lap shootout. So again, no DRS on this restart. A lot of drivers near the middle of the field went ahead and have gone ahead and pitted. Fratter's pitted. Herbie's pitting. Collie Boy, he has to pit because he has to repair the damage on his car. Dragonborn's actually going to come out in 12th. But the 2 drivers ahead will have slightly better soft tires. And Dragonborn does have time penalties. So I don't know, Dragonborn might be able to get a point.
I think the only person that's actually faster than right behind him is Zola. But the 2 people in front of him both have penalties. So this could look good for Flavor and Ferrari here.
Yeah, the real big thing is that Herbago is on horrible tires right now and has a time penalty.
And Dr. Phil
It's
also.
going to be a... Yeah, but the fight at the front's going to be interesting because Schumacher is going to be in control. Meerkat's been very good on the initial restart and run down to the first straightaway. This is not over by any means.
And I don't think there's going to be any DRS when we get started because I think we're going to go in the start of lap 28. So this could work in the favor of Ferrari here.
Schumacher does have a very slight advantage. He's not as overfilled as Meerkat is, so Schumacher will be a little bit lighter here on this restart.
How could you tell?
I can go to first person mode. I can see the numbers on their wheels whenever the wheels are pointed straight.
I wish I had that good eyesight.
Oh, I have a giant ass TV, so.
Oh. Makes sense. But the first person on softs is all the way back in 10th, but they do have a time penalty. So...
Yeah, everyone on softs has time penalties. In fact, Galminator in 14th might be in a position to actually back into a few points here, just because so many drivers ahead have time penalties.
Yeah.
The other thing to consider, everyone is going to have ERS fully charged. So while we won't have any DRS, I guarantee you everyone will be dumping as much ERS as they can down the back straightaways.
And it does look like a couple of the people are trying to burn off some fuel before we get going again.
Yeah, Schumacher is one of them. He's brought it down to just being only one lap overfilled. The problem is burning fuel. The problem is burning fuel also burns up the grip in the rear tires. It makes the rear tires take on a lot more extra wear, so that could end up helping Meerkat, because Meerkat then would actually have a better set of tires, at least on the rear, compared to Schumacher potentially. But Schumacher should have better front tires, though, because Schumacher has spent most of this time in cleaner air than Meerkat has.
Oh, this was even earlier than
that'll be
last
interesting
time.
to consider. Yeah, my goodness. All right, Schumacher leads the field on the restart. Meerkat is second. Last time it was in this position, Meerkat was ahead of Schumacher, and Schumacher nicked him. How does Meerkat react to the Ferrari ahead? Meerkat runs in the back of Schumacher there. I think he's trying to tell Schumacher, hey, get going, get up to speed.
And this is exactly what Schumacher wants.
Yeah. I do think the McLarens could still end up walking out here, second and third potentially.
Maybe first. I guess we'll see in these
maybe
final
first
two laps.
and third. Boy, Schumacher's waited a long time to get going.
Oh, that was a
he's
great
off.
start for him.
Oh, and Phil's got Herbago. Phil is on Herbago now, around the outside. Red Bull on McLaren, side by side for a third position.
Oh,
Contact again. They both go way off. They make contact again. 4 times they make contact. They make contact again now as it goes to turns 2, 3, and 4. And again they make contact. They just won't stop banging each other. You'd think they're a couple on prom night. But Herbago is finally by Dr. Phil at the end of it.
Like an abusive relationship.
Dr. Phil's not done with Herbago yet, as they go down the back straightaway now.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Phil.
He's got his
a little
nose
bit
ahead.
later. Oh my goodness. The Flavor might be here to pick up the pieces right behind him.
Flavor has no time penalty, so he could take one, if not both of these positions here. But Zola is behind Flavor as well and ready to bring the fight forward. The Red Bull and the McLaren continue to squabble it out for third.
Zola's right behind Flavor.
Oh my goodness, he's going for it in a section of the track you don't want to. They make contact again.
Oh my. They're side by side. Oh my. Mario.
Coming to the white flag. But as these two keep fighting, Flavor is in the real catbird seat. If Flavor just stays behind them and doesn't make any mistakes, we could see a 1-2 by the Ferraris instead of the McLarens.
Oh, and Zola did have
All right,
a little bit
looks
of
like
a moment there.
All right, it looks like Herbago has fixed his stuff now. Oh, and that's a Mercedes around. That's Snake who's gone around the middle of the field. And the AlphaTauri V Diggity hits him. A massive accident in turns 2 and 3. Diggity will not finish. Although he will be credited as rain at the finish, he will not finish. Dragonborn's up to 10th. And Schumacher is on track to do what you did also, Chubby, and lock up the championship by winning.
Oh.
Herbie's been disqualified because he was not able to get his car going again.
Let's see what happens here. Could Flavor get up onto the podium?
He's close enough to steal the podium from Dr. Phil and potentially Herbago as well. Can you imagine the scenes if the McLarens, who look for sure to take home a 1-2 or 1-3 finish, can't even get both their cars on the podium today?
That would be insane. I think Meerkat, though, is going to keep second here.
Yeah, and Schumacher is going to walk out of here with a victory again. It wasn't a pole position, but this win will lock up Schumacher, and he will join the ranks for Ferrari as a champion. Meerkat comes home second, and yes, Flavor does bring it home third.
What a
Zola
race.
comes home fourth, Herbago fifth, Phil 6th, Veli 7th, Dave 8th, Dragonborn 9th, Snake 10th, Fratters 11th, Collyboy 12th, Zackle in 13th, Golminator gets 13th, Zackle 14th, and Imperium rounds it out in 15th.
This couldn't have gone any better. Actually, it probably could have, like, one more spot, but this couldn't have... I don't think with 10 laps ago that they were thinking that they could get a first and a third here. Wow. And as we were talking about, that penalty from Herbago really killed him. He would have had third. Wow. What a race.
Incredible stuff,
What
to
a
say the
race
least.
from all the top 5. Wow.
I'm really interested to hear what our winners and our top finishers have to say. Coming to the party right now is... Actually, Schumacher, hold on. We'll get to you last. Meerkat, I want to talk to you first. Pole position, you dominated the race early on, but as it went on, it just kind of slipped away. Make sure your eyes include Meerkat. What do you have to say about that fantastic run? That fantastic run. All right, 3 races left. What do you think your chances are to steal a win in the remaining 3 races this year? All right. Great drive, Meerkat. Shame it couldn't turn to a win, but you put on one amazing fight against just about everyone on track. Now I want to go ahead and turn our focus to our 3rd place finisher, XRL Flavor. Flavor, potential driver of the day performance. For the first half of the day, you weren't even in the points-paying positions, and yet in the end, you come home with a 3rd place finish. Include your audio, Flavor. What do you have to say about your run today?
Wow, I can't quite believe it. Apologies, Dave, you know what I mean. Awesome. I just can't believe I got there, to be honest. I was just struggling. Everyone seemed to just be on the medium tyres and they were going past me and getting past me and easy. And then I just decided to drive and drive and not let people pass, you know, make it hard and just keep the apexes and keep going. And I just carried on. Decided not to pit at the end. Both times, which give me good position. But yeah, awesome. Congratulations, Mantic and Schumacher on the championship. Awesome drive. Some really good battles with people out there. Really good stuff.
All right, 3 races left in the championship. In the season, you have been instrumental in helping to keep Ferrari at the top of the manufacturers' title fight. Do you think you can finish it off with the manufacturers' championship at the end of this year?
I mean, it's a dream on it for me, and the fact that I can back Schumacher to do that. But I mean, again, it's two very, very top of the range drivers in this division, to be honest, in this league. So yeah, awesome. Just to be part of this is amazing, to be honest. And it doesn't matter even if it goes to McLaren. It's just been an amazing season for me to be involved in, really, considering where I came from the last few seasons. So yeah. Well, the last
In
season.
flavor,
Alright.
in flavor, I also have a question on that second to last safety car. About lap 19, you were about 10th.
Yeah.
What even happened back there? Because I think we missed some of it. Because sadly, I think Zola dropped. I don't even know what was happening there. I think Zola dropped behind you or something.
I think
What
Zola
happened
must
there?
have pitted. Zola must have pitted for mediums because I came past the pit and he was behind me, and I thought, oh wow, why? How come Zola's behind me like that? But yeah, surprising really. But no, I think he just pitted for the mediums. Maybe he'd put them on early and they were going. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, great race.
Thank you.
I was watching. I'm like, oh, he's making his way up the grid a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, mate, but yeah, I hope to repeat it in the next few races. But yeah.
All right. Once again, thanks. I want to talk real quickly with our fourth place finisher, XRO Zola. Zola, things have gotten really interesting. Like you said, Schumacher's won the championship, but now the fight is on between you and 2 McLarens for second in the drivers' fight. 3 races left. What do you think? What do you have to say about today, and what do you think your chances are in the remaining 3 races of the season?
Doesn't really matter now that the championship's over, so it doesn't really matter where I finish. I've had a chance of being up there today, and I spun past me the race. Went from third in the grid, went to the back of the field 18th, come back to 9th, then the safety car come back into the box, went back to 15th, brought back to 4th. So,
wow, hold on. What happened?
So basically, I boxed under both safety cars.
You
That's
bet,
the only
yeah.
time I boxed. I didn't, yeah. But I boxed under the safety cars, didn't box any other time. But that's the strategy. That's why the strategy was hard from the start because of an early safety car. You can go medium, which is what I did. If I didn't spin, I would have been up there. I probably would have been in the front row.
Yeah, definitely.
I had the pace, 100%. And I lost 4 tenths in qualifying. I was in the 23s when I set my lap time. So,
yep.
So the annoying thing is I probably was probably the first or second fastest car on that track, and I didn't really show it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, sometimes it is like that, isn't it?
At the end of the day, the championship's over, so I've got nothing to play for now. So it is what it is.
Still give it a good go though, didn't you, mate? To be honest, I mean, again,
Oh,
some good
I might
drivers.
start.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm tempted to start the next 2 races. Just for fun, do the race with Dave and Cooley and all that. But we'll see.
Cool. Keep them out of my way then.
Yeah, no,
you choose to
Flavor
start
does
it.
make a good point. Flavor does make a good point because there is still, obviously there's a 3-way fight between the 2 McLarens and you, Zola, for second in the drivers, but also for 5th in the drivers' championship. Flavor is trying to hold off the 2 Alfa Romeos and Dragonborn, and so yeah, you being back there would definitely help Flavor out in that fight as well. So
If Dragonborn keeps going with the lowest wins he can possibly go with, he isn't going to win any races or get decent points. That's twice in the last 2 races where he's gone the lowest wings on the grid, and he's been all over the place because he's running the lowest wings. So he's so weak in the slowest part of the sector. He lost about a second half every lap on that final sector because he went with the lowest wings. He's going to get found out if he does that around Miami and Portimao. Doing that, can't do it.
I like to see him try and survive the twisty yin yang like section of the track in China with the wings like that as well.
Yeah, that's someone.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, Zola, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. We'd love to see what things are going to look like going forward. And now,
watch this,
one more
X2.
person left.
Watch X2. I've got nothing to
Oh, yeah,
lose
we're
there.
definitely
Watch me do X2.
All right, sure. We'll watch you during X2. What are you? Do you have a specific prediction you want to set for what you're doing X2, or just?
I reckon they'll be close to a podium.
All right. Well, you were closer to a podium today, so back-to-back fourths might not be that bad, all things considered. All right. So now one more person to talk to. the man of the hour, the man of the season, Schumacher SF7. Go ahead, include your audio. You've been on the outside looking in, helping a teammate get their championship. Now, you are the one with the championship.
Yes!
What do you have to say about your run today and your run over the entire season at this point?
X3 champion, and even with stuff, people trying to not make me X3 champion, I still managed to become X3 champion. I've been a teammate of an X3 champion, and now I'm champion myself.
They can be so proud.
And yeah, even though the McLaren tried to push me off track going down the back straight because I had a better run on him, it was, yeah, I had to win this race, get it wrapped up, and now I take it easy the rest of the season. So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be iffy about taking it easy because there is still the manufacturers up for grabs. Also, that's the other thing. In the end, that's the other thing I do have to say, though. Really incredible on the Ferrari team as a whole. Coming into it, as we looked through qualifying and all, it looked like you guys wouldn't even be close to the podium. You guys brought home a win and a third, extending your lead back in the manufacturers.
Yeah,
What's your strategy for that title to the end of the season?
McLaren's down that back straight. I knew they were going to run faster wings. I just knew it. So I would, as soon as I got on the back straight, I would get out of the way get onto the other side of the track. Obviously, that would give me 2 or 3 seconds before they got in my dream. And then I weren't dumping the RS at all. I was waiting for them just to dump the RS, and then let them overtake on the front straight. And then I knew if it just broke early, cut back down the second straight, they had nothing to answer me with because they've all got rid of their battery already. So yeah, they're easy targets when you know how to play their own game. So, yeah.
Well, you had a fantastic fight against both of them. 3 races left. Do you think you can steal any more victories before the season's up?
I hope so. But now I can relax. I know I've got the X3 title up and done. No one can catch me. I could DNF every race and no one could catch me, so it don't bother me now. I just want to try and get the constructors to my teammate. And if I could do that, then my teammate walks away with a trophy as well, and the McLaren gets fuck all.
I'm sure McLaren would be happy if you dump it every race. McMantic was loving that, rubbing his hands. Yeah, nice one. Drop it in every race. Go on, mate.
All right.
But yeah,
Either way, Schumacher, congratulations. You've been in this position before, being the support, and now what karma smiles upon you, and you are the X3 champion for XRL.
thank you very much.
All right. So with that in mind, in X3, there are still 3 races left to go. We still have to go to China, Portimao, and Miami. And the Manufacturers' Championship is still in the fight. There are also still 2 very interesting fights for lower spots in the Drivers' Championship. Another thing to consider, though, is that in about an hour's time, X2 will be getting underway here. There's another Drivers' Championship fight going underway there as well. So go ahead and join us for that. But until next time, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. I've been joined by former XRL X3 champion Shelby IX Spark, who also won a title in the Ferrari. We are here to celebrate the crowning of a new Ferrari XRL X3 champion in the form of Schumacher SF7. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.